Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Caped Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our brand new friend, John Schell III. We're here to break down The Last Wand and everything in between. John, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right, brother. It's been a day. Got home from work, got ready for the stream, and here we are, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. New comic book day, and what better way to start off than talking about a new comic book? So we're here to break down The Last Wand issue 1, but before we dive into that, how did you get into creating comics? Like, what was kind of your origin story into stepping into this realm?
Yeah, man. So it actually started in the parking lot of a movie theater. Me and a few of my buddies, we went and saw a movie, and what's funny is I can't even tell you what movie it was. I feel like it had something to do with zombies, because we came out of that movie and we're like, man, that was trash. Like, we could do so much better than that, right?
Was it
and
recent?
So, no, dude, this is like 8 years ago or something. This is a long time ago.
Oh, I was like, what zombie movie just came out? Army? Is it the Zack Snyder one? Like,
no, I can't remember. The only reason I feel like it was a zombie one is because we decided to make a zombie book. So we were like, well, how do we do something better, right? So we were like talking, like we would name like the virus, like the Lazarus virus, like after like the biblical like guy Lazarus who like raises from the dead. Mm-hmm. We're like, man, that would be like a cool term. And so we started to come up with this idea, and lo and behold, we're like, well, my buddy's like, well, I know a guy who draws comics. Maybe we can do like comic books. And so we're like, oh, okay, cool. So we actually started to put together a story, and we put together a studio called Dark Heart Studios, but Heart was spelled like H-A-R-T, for the art. We're like, man, I still got business cards from it, but we ended up trying to go that route. And like after about a year, one of my buddies, it was three of us, one of my buddies, and we're all still friends. We're like really close friends, actually. He ended up having a kid, so kind of fell off in that direction. We were younger too. We were like, I don't know, 19, 20. I'm 32 now, for reference. So then my other buddy, he was really busy with work. So we kind of all separated ways, kind of closed down the business, and we never really got to the point of creating that comic. So we kind of put it aside for a couple of years, and then I was like, you know what? I mean, that's what I love. Like, I loved when we were doing that. I love the idea of creating something. I've always had this like imagination. I see everything kind of like scene by scene when I'm writing, and I was like, I'm gonna carry on the mantle, right? I'm gonna keep going. So I actually I made a comic, or I worked on a comic. I wrote it out. I found the guy from the Philippines on a comic book page, and we created the comic. And at the end of it all, I got the pages. I was brand new to all this. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, legitimately, like, shot in the dark. Didn't know how to write a script or whatever. And so I got the pages from him, and he sent me all the pages, and I sent them straight over to a colorist. And I was like, hey man, I got cheap colors, but I thought his stuff was good enough, so I gave it to him. And he sent me all the files back, and then I went to print and found out that all the files were like messed up and corrupted.
No!
When I sent them to him for coloring. So I was like $4,000 in the hole, like personal money. Like, I paid for it, and I ended up never coming out with the book. So that's how that was my first experience in comics. But what I did what I did from that is I was like, what, I'm gonna pull what I learned, right? Like, I mean, I got hit hard with something, but I'm gonna take a step back. I think I took like 6 months off, and just actually like wrote a script out. I read a book, How to Write Comics. Like, I really wanted to get into it, and once I did that, I felt super comfortable. And by that time, like 6 months later, I had like 8 different stories already, scripted out. So I ended up going back to the drawing board. I went back to there was a Facebook page called I think it's Comic Artist Seeking Commission. And I posted, hey, I've got this story type, I've got this amount of funds that I can put towards it, looking for an artist. I ended up not finding an artist that could kind of work on the level that I wanted. I had saved up that money in 6 months. Like, I was like, I'm going to pay for this book 100%. Like, I want the book fully completed, but nobody can kind of be on the level of, what I wanted. So I ended up searching for an artist. I found a guy from Portugal. His name's Ruben Mosho. Great friends now. We've been working on the book for 3 years now. And yeah, man, that's how we got into it. That's where The Last Wand kind of originated from.
Dude, man, that like I love a story, like a beat me down and rise above it story. Like the fact that you took 4,000 to the chin and still wanted to stay in it is just, I think that speaks volumes about your determination into it. And man, I would have took 6 years off like to recover from that, man. So what was that story about though? I mean, you said it never seen the light of day, but like, can you...
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I have all 32 pages, bro. Like they're colored. I have them, right? And I mean, like they're actually in the Google Docs. But yeah, it was more or less kind of going with the story me and my buddies created. It was a zombie story. It was, I would say, cliche, definitely. You know, you're always trying to find the different things of zombies. But the biggest thing in my story was I focused more on the villain of the story than the actual protagonist. And the villain was half zombie, half human. So it was he tried to commit suicide and, you know, depressing, whatnot, and you know, found his girlfriend cheating on him. He goes to hang himself, and in the middle of like halfway being dead, the place where he lives gets hit with one of the I would say gas nukes, and it actually, while he was in the process of dying, he also becomes a zombie. So he was actually half alive, half dead when the serum enters. So he wakes up with like no arm. You know, like everything's blown up. You know, he's like, you know, disoriented. Zombies are running in the street, but he has the consciousness of a human, but he's actually a zombie. So, kind of how he goes about the world and whatnot. Like that was just one story in the book. It was actually like a whole world of events. There's a whole nother main character named Scott. You know, a kid that kind of grew up in this like nice, you know, life and whatnot. And on the way home from a church, actually, he was on the way home from church with his family. There's actually a roadblock. So the idea behind that story was the USA gets hit with World War III, pretty much, where home invasion happens, and that's also where that you know, serum comes from later, that bomb. But on his way home, yeah, his whole family gets killed by the attack, and he's the only one that survives. And it's also about his story as well, because he's taken in. Dude, I can go off a tangent about stories, man.
So you don't have the option to make it a PDF?
So I can. I don't even have it lettered. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I kind of came to terms with not releasing it and rather rebooting it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this story one day, and I'm gonna just do it the right way. You know, now
most
that
expensive reboot,
dude,
huh?
Dude, it's gonna be expensive, but I just want it done correctly, you know. And I guess that's another thing with me. Like my wife always says, you know, you're a perfectionist and it's gonna destroy you. She's not wrong. Sometimes, like, I spend way too much time and energy on things when really it's just a matter of putting it out there.
But it looks so good. I'm the same exact way. Like I'm the same exact way. Like, but the end product, like, I've had people they thought I like made a living off doing this. I'm like, no. It looks like I might, because I like making it look good, but far from it. So what were some of those you know, some of those new like methods that you learned, new ways to go about creating a comic, you know, coming back from that 6 month break?
Yeah, so after reading How to Write Comics, I really was like, it kind of took me on a whole nother level of like just the paneling, the pacing, doing things in scenes and stuff like that. Just, I really was like, okay, I mean, imagine when I first started writing, I was more along the lines, like, if you imagine this, you know, back in the day, you have a DVD, you can pause it, or you can see on the bottom, you can kind of see the squares and you see the scene by scene of like what was to come. That was my idea of paneling when I first started writing. Like, pause it, and like that would be like a talking point. Go through, pause it again, that's the next scene. And so that was my pacing originally, right? I didn't really understand the whole concept behind writing, you know, panels and pacing. So really took me up to a whole nother level. And actually even working with my artist. So like my artist has worked with a lot of different indie creators, and he was able to also help me along the way as well. And also, I mean, there was so much when it came to that 6 month hiatus and just working with the artist. It really just took everything to a whole new level, man.
I hear all the time that I always thought it was like a dumb meme on Facebook. It's like taking 6 months to recollect yourself can put you farther ahead than in 4 years of just doing the same thing that you're doing. And it's crazy to see that actually in physical form, you know?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it was definitely a time to reflect. A little bit of pain, you know, a little bit of like, dude, I didn't know the communities like really in that 6 month. And you also asked, that question. I learned a lot about the community. So I took a step back, and I wasn't just like, hey, I want to create a comic. I'm going to create a comic. I'm going to throw it out there and hopefully people like it. I actually took it. Sorry about that. I actually took a step back, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn what the community likes, what they don't like, what works on Kickstarter, what doesn't. I did so much research, and like the biggest thing I found really was two things. There was a lot of Kickstarters where people were getting funded and they just weren't giving out their books. And then there was also the other thing, which was a lot of people who they were doing a Kickstarter and they would take forever to like get it out there. Or there's just a lot of different things that like in the indie space that people were having issues with. So I took all those things in and I said, I don't want to be that guy. I believe in my product. I believe in my book. I feel like I've come a long way. And to prove that, I'm going to have a finished product before I release my Kickstarter. I also really structured my Kickstarter to be as simple as possible, just to give me the ability, because this is my first Kickstarter, to fulfill it and feel comfortable fulfilling it, right? So I didn't want to throw in 1,000 perks and feel so overwhelmed and crazy. I really want to get this in the book, in the bag, and then I want, the next Kickstarter to be like double as good, right? Like perks and all kinds of stuff, like stepping blocks, right? But I really wanted to prove to the community that like I believe in what I'm doing, and that's why we created the book. I mean, it's actually behind me on the desk, right here. The book is like, it's fully printed, man. Like it's ready to go. You got everything. So, I mean, that was why we did it. Kind of looked at the community and did that.
I had the opportunity to read the first 8 pages of it. Thank you for that, Chance. I really enjoyed it. I'll be honest, it kind of threw me off. I thought this was going to be like, for whatever reason, like an elf like oriented, like but it was like different. It was like almost like a deep like repression that the protagonist was battling. And hearing your other work, it just seems like you're drawn to like kind of writing about more emotional like things happening, depression or people dying and stuff. Would you say that's sort of like a theme that you enjoy like writing?
So yeah, man, I guess it's a reflection on a pretty hard life. Being around that kind of stuff I take from friends, family, experience, and things like that. I'm the oldest of a family of 6, and I have 4 younger sisters under me, and then my youngest is a brother. So like I kind of took a sister kind of brother relationship approach to like the pages you read. So really diving deep into emotions, like I would feel, I lost a sister or something of that nature. So putting myself in the shoes of the reader or the character is really kind of what I pride myself on and what I do for each character. And sometimes that puts me in a really depressing state, and I've got to put myself in that headspace. And sometimes it's in a funny, happy space. But I do find myself writing. It's funny. I've got a couple other projects I'm working on, and they all start happy, right? And they all end up really sad and dark. And I told my wife, I said, I think it's just my nature of writing. Like I always want to start out happy or whatever, but somehow, some way along the way, it just dives really deep into the emotions and just the feelings of that character and characters, and the gray areas of life as well.
It's almost it's almost comical in a sense. Like we relate to pain so much more than happiness anymore. It feels like that's kind of just the atmosphere that we're living in.
Yeah, man. It's a rough world, man. And I was conflicted with this series because I wanted action and adventure, but I mean at the same time, comics to me were an escape from the world, right? So it's like, do you make a happy-go-lucky, crazy, outlandish comic and let somebody dive deep and into that and kind of escape the world, or do you do something that's both, where you can escape and have this fantasy world, but also connect with the reader and their emotions as well? And that's the route I went. And I do have other other stories and whatnot that are solely based on just euphoria. But in this case, I definitely wanted to connect with the reader on multiple different levels with all my characters.
No, absolutely. So I think right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the Kickstarter and see kind of what you're campaigning for issue number 1. So we are looking at The Last Wand, a 38-page fantasy comic. A boy with 2 pasts, one haunts him, one hunts him, and both will shape the future of the universe. currently at $2,819 of a pledge goal of $2,500. So congratulations on funding with 90 backers and 3 days to go. How are you feeling right now for this being your first campaign?
I mean, I'm ecstatic. It's a feeling of accomplishment and victory, and all that hard work goes into something. It's really, really hard to put into words, you know. Yeah, man, it really is. You put all that love, your time, and my team too, man. It's not just me. My artist worked hard at this, you know, and my colors, the whole team. We put all this time into it, and to see it come to fruition, it almost makes you feel like you're legitimate now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel. I feel like finally, I feel like I'm legitimate, like I'm an actual creator now, you know.
You know, it's crazy to hear that you think that, because I would have considered you legitimate for the fact that you took a $4,000 hit and still wanted to keep going. You know, I think that would have been like right there. You know, there's always moments of realization in your life. Like, is this what I want to keep doing? And like, I think right there was your defining moment. Like, you are a comic book creator at that point, like 110%, you know?
Thank you, man.
Let's go ahead and check out this video and see what the hype's all about.
Yes, sir. What's up, guys? My name is John, and thank you for checking out my first Kickstarter campaign. I just wanted to jump on here and let you guys know that the book is fully completed and ready to go. I am super excited to get this book into your hands, but with that being said, I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about the creation of the book and who I am. So I started working on this book 3 years ago, and throughout the process, I had quite a few things go wrong. One of them being the passing of my daughter, which was one of the hardest things that I've ever gone through in my life. But I stayed true to what I love to do, and I guess in a way I was kind of encouraged to make my mark on the world, just because in her case she wasn't able to do so for very long. With that being said, this is the book. It is fully completed and ready to go. This is actually wraparound cover C, and it will be in the campaign. So I'm going to show you guys a few pages from the book just to show you what the interior art looks like, and how serious we were about creating this comic. So this is just one page. It's beautiful, beautiful art. Here's another page. This one you can actually see in the campaign itself as well. The colors are beautiful. Honestly, everything about this book is beautiful, and all the money that comes in from the campaign will go towards the continuation of the series. I'm not looking to take any profits from this personally. I don't actually need it, and I just love to write comics. So I have like 12 other stories I'm ready to pull the trigger on. I just don't have that extra money to be able to do so. So like I said, any extra money that comes in could go towards those stories I've already written, but any money that does come in from this Kickstarter will go straight towards the distribution of the book, and also the continuation of the book. So I hope you guys enjoy the book once you get it. And with that being said, thank you very much once again for being here. I don't want to talk too much in it, just because I think I heard on your and Jeff's stream you guys were talking, and I think it went over the.
Yeah. You were trying to talk earlier, and I could barely hear you. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to like further.
Oh, you give, brother. You give, brother.
That's why I always in the beginning I'll always say like you won't be able to hear it because it'll bleed over your audio.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
It's all good though.
I can't.
Dude, this art is so gorgeous.
Yeah, Ruben did a great job, man. He put his heart into it. I mean, really, the whole team, man.
Oh man, this is brutal too. I didn't expect it to be gory like that.
Oh yeah, it's got some blood and gore, man. Oh yeah.
Man, holy shit, dude. I typically try not to cuss, but like, oh man, the fact that you like work through all that to get this book out there, like yeah. Like you got this book out there, man. You got this book out there, and it's fully funded, man. I'm stoked for you. I'm stoked for you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's I definitely went in the ups and like the hardest time of my life through the creation of it, for sure. with the passing of my daughter. But you know, at the same time, I took that and I kind of went, you know what, you know, she's not here. I believe I'm going to see her again one day. But I'm going to keep on going, and I'm going to dedicate, you know, my life and what I have left to her, and making my mark on this world. And so I had to pull myself out of that, and you know what, and that's, I like you said, man, that's what makes this so much sweeter, is to see, you know, getting back up in the hardest time of your life and to still have something created and then funded. And you know, it's like I said, you can't put it into words, man.
No, absolutely. And we have a Carbine Game stopping in over on YouTube as well. Welcome to the stream, guys. Like, excited to get you on a little bit later. Check out some of that indie game development you've been working on. But we are here to check out The Last Wand. Here are some of these stretch goals. So at 3,000, there's going to be a manga?
Yeah, so that's another book I have fully completed and ready to go. If we hit 3,000, everybody will get the PDF version. I'll probably do another campaign later of the print version of that. But I figured, hey, you know what? Why not get it out there? And when that's a 24-page book, and it's fully completed, man.
Dude, let's go. And then at 5,000, we have wristbands.
Yeah.
So what type of wristband is that going to be?
Yeah, it's just a normal, like kind of like the old. I mean, actually, you know, I don't have one on me, but it's just a plastic little wristband. It says The Last Wand, and then it has Rhythm Comics on the back side of it.
No, that's cool. And then at 7,000, we have a poster 11 by 17. And so who are we going to see on that poster?
So that is Abaddon. He is the main antagonist of the story, man. And that was actually, believe it or not, that was an alternate ending to the book that we cut. So you kind of get to see a little bit of what was actually going to happen. We changed it now, but yeah, that's what that poster ended up becoming.
Oh, that is awesome. And then are these going to be just stretch goals for like physical backers, or?
So this is so the PDF will be for anyone who does the digital tiers. If we hit that 3,000, they'll also get that. And then for physical backers, those would get the wristbands and the poster.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And then speaking of the story, right here is a little bit about the story. So a boy with two pasts, one haunts him, one hunts him, and both will shape the future of the universe. Issue 1 sets the stage for the Last Wand series. In this issue, we follow Kian. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
A seemingly normal boy who blames himself for the death of his younger sister due to his depression. Kian retreats deep within his mind, but when he dives too deep, he begins to unravel memories of a past that isn't his, or is it? And that's the part that I was talking about earlier, kind of that deep look at repression and the way that worked. I thought that was a really unique, you know, way to go about it. And here is an 8-page teaser. Now, for anyone that was watching, we did have these pages on a image slideshow in the beginning of this interview, but to get a little bit closer of a look, and if you're watching, right here is the link to the Kickstarter. Let me go ahead and get that. Be sure to check this out with us. If you're unable to back it, just share it. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Word of mouth is 100% free, and you definitely will have a friend who's going to love this story because it is a deep ride. I mean, I only read the first 8-ish pages and I was sucked in, so I can only imagine what the rest of this is. 32 pages, so a whole lot of story to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, the book is split into 4 scenes, really. So this is actually technically part of the second scene in the book. So you have your first scene, then we'll have this, and then you have another scene, and then you have an ending scene. So you know, we also did, and I think you may have seen, but I did something for the indie community because I really love all the books that are out right now. And we did I kind of put it up on Twitter. Hey, anybody who has a campaign coming up, let me know, and we'll put make an ad for your book, and we'll put it in our book.
Yeah, I tagged a couple friends, I think, on that. Yeah.
Heck yeah, and we got and I think Magic Powder is one of them. He's got a spot in one of my books. But yeah, we had 8 spots, so I'm super excited to have those in the book as well. Yeah,
Jeff was actually last night's interview, so the small world, man, very small world. Dude. The Last One targets readers who will enjoy fantasy, drama, and mystery. This comic is largely inspired by the personal experiences of myself and others around me. It's intended for young adults and adult audiences due to some more mature thematic material. So, real quick, before we dive into the covers, do you have images for the retail, like the tiers, or no?
I do not, and that is one of the things with when I built this Kickstarter. So I did the whole Kickstarter like by myself and whatnot. I definitely learned even from just looking at others more deep. I want to do that for the next campaign.
Well, no, that was fine. I just wanted to make sure I didn't scroll too far without actually talking about the tiers. So for the last one PDF, pledge $7 and you'll get 44 pages. So is there going to be some extra content alongside the story?
So it's 38 pages of interior art, and then you have the four. I originally had that. That's actually supposed to be 38 pages of interior art, and then the 44. There is an extra art piece in there or two, and then we have the front and back covers. The front cover, and then you have the black and white, kind of like the inks of the front cover as the inside cover, and then you have a special back cover, and same thing with the interior back cover.
Oh, absolutely. And then $12 or more, you get the physical copy of cover A. So that's a pretty outstanding price. $5 more for the physical. And then you'll also get a digital copy as well. For $3 more, you're going to get the physical copy of cover B with the digital as well. And then at $20, you're going to get the wraparound cover by Vasco Marino. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
And then that's going to be right here. So that's absolutely gorgeous. These are all gorgeous covers, but this wraparound is beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then at $25 or more, we have the Canon white cover D. So this is a Kickstarter exclusive. So this is only going to be available for your campaigns?
Yes, sir. So this will be the only time I ever print this cover. So this will be just a limited run, and whoever gets it while we have it up. I'm going to personally have about 5 I'm going to buy for myself and get graded. But after that, man, it's going to be out.
No, that is awesome. And then 44 or more, you're going to get all 4 covers. That is a pretty outstanding price as well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I figured if we could save money, you let everybody get every cover if they wanted it, and also save a lot of money along the way. I mean, if you look at the prices of each book, I can't even remember. I think you're saying like $20 or something like that. Yeah. And you get the same price for shipping. It doesn't change for that $44 mark either, which I believe it's $6 to $8 for shipping per book.
And then right here is a look at the back cover, which is going to be standard for all the covers except the wraparound. By the way, we have Carbine Games over on YouTube saying covers are insane, John. Yeah, these covers are gorgeous, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we definitely, that was colored. Cover A was actually covered by a Marvel colorist. So that was really cool. Paris Alain, he works with them. My artist actually pulled a lot of strings to get a lot of the really big guys in on this. So.
That's cool. You have that wraparound cover with you, right? You were showing it earlier.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Let me zoom you in if you want to show that off a little bit.
So that's the front, and then you have the back.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. So that's it, and then and you can actually see, I kind of have it in his sleeve, but you can see this is actually the cover A.
Yeah.
And then you have the back cover as well.
Oh, that is gorgeous, man.
That's painted by a guy from Portugal. Pretty well-known guy named Daniel Arthur, and yeah, man, he did some good work, man.
No, yeah, those are all gorgeous. And then right here is a little thank you as well, and then some more interior page as well, like a little sneak peek at something else.
So that's one page in the ending scene of the book.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not see this one.
The fantasy bit. Yeah, you get to see the fantasy aspect of it. I mean, like, we do dive into a lot of human characters and whatnot, but we also, this is a fantasy comic book. I mean, it's the last wand, right? And so there's definitely that element to this whole story, and it will progressively get more and more chaotic as the series goes.
And then here's a look at some of the original concept art as well. So this is cool. So, I don't see a lot of this in Kickstarter, so I think this is kind of cool, showing like some of the beginnings.
Yeah, so like my concept for wands, right, is that they grow in a garden, the Garden of Arianth. That garden was produced, or I should say, grown off of the bones of a fallen god. On an elvish world. And so you actually you kind of think of it as layers. The core group, or the core center of that garden, that are strong seeds. So these seeds come from the trees. And then the actual, I would say the wizards or whatnot, they actually grow the wand and bond with the wand, almost like you would take care of a plant.
That's really cool.
And so they have that bond with their wand. And I really wanted to focus on the wand aspect of it, rather than, oh yeah, here's your wand, you're a wizard now. I really wanted to have that connection. So you can kind of see in here, he's growing the wand in his hand with magic and stuff like that.
You're a wizard, Harry. No,
you're a wizard, Harry.
So are the wands like sentient or sentient? I can't even say the words properly. Like, do they have a mind of their own? Like, or
So they are, I call them a conduit of magic. So more or less, in the Elvish world, most are born with magic powers, but the seeds of Arianth actually give them the ability to cast spells that would probably kill them if they didn't have the wand. So the
Okay.
wand is kind of, I would say, I would consider it the fuse. So you don't want to blow the fuse or you kill yourself, right? So you need that in between. So in this case, the wand gives them that ability to cast spells much more powerful than themselves. And what the spells are, you don't know.
We have my good friend Chris Moses over on Twitch saying this project looks crazy cool. I have to admit, it's insane. It kind of, so have you ever seen Bright?
I have seen Bright, yes sir.
So it kind of gives me that vibe in a sense, like we're only like like the way the wand works, like you have to, like it acts as a conduit. But you know, in Bright, like if you're not like an I forgot what it was. I listened to a deep dive. I never had the chance to actually watch it, but you like blow up if you can't use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can disintegrate, man.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, they definitely focus on the wands. You know, you can see the concepts down there. We kind of put together a few ideas of some of the wands. You know, trying maybe crystals, as you see in like C and D on that first 4. You know, and then my favorite one personally out of the mix is A on the second row. I really just, for some reason, I'm drawn to that wand. A lot of people like B. And then we had like all the way in the far right of the wands, you can kind of see like a forked wand. And that was a special wand created for a character that kind of had a split personality. So like I said, these wands are really a reflection of the person who wields them because they're the ones who grow them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And here are a look at some of the boys too.
Yes, sir. So Keon is the main character on the far left. Then you have Josh, who's more of that jockey character. His father was very wealthy and rich, but he's lived a pretty rough life even inside that environment, as his mom passed away, and his father's pretty abusive. Then you have Josh, that's that third character, very intelligent, probably the smartest of the group, looking to become a medic when he gets out of high school. And then you have CJ there, who just kind of takes the whole group and kind of runs with it. He thinks he's in charge of everyone, but he's really not. It's kind of his personality.
And then this guy is just looks like a total badass.
Yeah, man, Abaddon. So really, really focused on this character. He is the main antagonist of the story, and he will have his own series of issues. In fact, I guess we'll get into that towards the end of this. But yeah, more or less, we are going to focus on multiple issues of just his character. I always say that your hero is only as good as your villain. And so we really put a lot of time into the villain.
So what was some of the influences for him? He seems like so sinister, like half his face looks like it's like kind of melted off or blown off a little bit.
Yeah, so you can kind of see here, this is kind of like a Thanos reference. You can kind of see the outfit, but we did say Thanos didn't have a big ass skulls on his belt, so we try to change things up with his outfit a little bit, and he will look completely different than this, as this is a concept art. But yeah, he's sinister, man. His whole right or left side of his face was messed up by a spell that we'll see later on in the issues, and how that came about. But pretty much it was a spell that used nature to pin him down and like suck the life out of his body, and in doing so, it screwed up the whole left side of his face, and in turn actually like pulled parts of his face and made it more of the element of, I would say, roots. So it actually has like this root wood element to him.
Dude, this world just seems so in depth and immersive. I just love how like you have answers for everything, dude. It's great. This is awesome. So does he have that sort of like power, like that elemental power?
Yeah. So he has he's the most powerful. He's the most powerful wizard, I should say, or dark lord in the comic, in the series that there was ever been. So he has a very, very his past and how he gets to where he is probably the most gripping story that you can read. Honestly, we dive deep, and we'll get into that with like his series, but you're gonna see a change in somebody that and why you can become this evil, how you can go from being a good hero to becoming a villain in this way. Yeah.
I love it. Holy crap. So what do we have here? This looks almost like kind of some Lord of the Ring influence almost.
Yeah, so this is a Kligorian. So this is a part of Abaddon's army. So in a part of the series, he will end up going on search to build an army to more or less get back at the people who have wronged him. And also, he's serving a bigger master than himself.
Hmm.
Not giving too much away, but this is a Kligorian. He has been infected by Kel. Kel is dark magic in our comic in our world. Kel is a very powerful magic that was believed to be eradicated during the Battle of Universe. And the Battle of Universe was the original battle between all the gods, where pretty much all the gods were killed off until the end. And so all Kel magic, that dark magic, was believed to be killed or destroyed. Later on in the series, we do find out that it isn't. And in fact, this creature was once a very humble, almost like orc-like creature. But when Abaddon goes searching for for that army, he ends up finding this race, and they give in to his, I guess, narrative. And when he gives them the Kel, it corrupts their body and turns them into these creatures. And
Oh man.
if you don't, you can actually look like the orcs we saw in that last page. That's kind of their original form. But if you leave your Kel unchecked and you don't actually like take care of yourself, and you do things wrong by the Dark Lord, he'll let the Kel keep consuming you until you are a mindless creature.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome, dude. Holy crap. And then for shipping, all books are going to be sent in a Gemini mailer, backed and sleeved as displayed with proofs. And then a little bit about the creative team. So do you want to go ahead? I mean, we've deep dived you. Do you want to give a little bit of a shout out to the rest of the team?
Yeah, so Ruben Mosho was born and raised in Lisbon, Portugal. His passion for comic took full grasp of him as a kid, and so he tried to follow the steps of the great masters of his craft. Influenced by Japanese art and culture, Ruben's unique style is the perfect fit for the last one. Great guy from Portugal. He's become one of my best friends. We get along. We do Discord calls all the time. Really, I've given him full creative power in the book as the artist. I write the script, I'm the mastermind, and he takes it and he makes it just so much better. And then you have Nene. I can't say his last name. Watch me, Nene. That's what I always say when I see him. But no, he's a great colors man, awesome guy. So his real name is Israel, and he's a Brazilian colorist, moved from Portugal. When he was a kid, he always loved to draw and paint. But in fine arts college, he met Ruben, which is my artist. That introduced him to the world of comics. Since then, his love for his craft has kept growing.
Dude, it always seems like whenever you get an artist and a colorist that have been friends before the project, they just kill it together.
They stay over at each other's houses. They have a studio workplace at each other, like almost like one will go to the other place, the other one will come over to the other guy's place, and they work together. And not just on my project, man. They're working on multiple projects together. So really great team. And then you have Dave Lentz. He's worked on a lot of projects for like Source Point Press. Good boy. I don't know if you've heard of Garrett Gunn, but he's worked on a lot of his projects for Source Point Press. Great letterer, man. He knows how to pick things out. He even adds things inside of the comic that you might not have in your script, just to give it that touch. And I don't even have to change anything after he's done. It's perfect. So
That's
he's a
awesome,
letterer,
man.
designer, sometimes an artist and writer. When not reading comics, he does his best to create them by any. Oh, sorry. I was reading it, but yeah, he just works for a lot of.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're
sorry.
good, brother. You're good, brother. No, you're perfectly good, man. But yeah, he's worked on stuff like Hellboy, Star Wars, TNT. So he's big into all the lettering and whatnot.
No, yeah, I was scrolling just to make sure because I seen the future. So the future, I wanted to pivot to our big screen so we can talk about what's next, and I wanted to make sure that was the end before we did that.
Have you
my
seen this
apologies.
video yet? No, have
no,
you seen this?
this one? No.
Dude, wait till you see this.
Yeah, let's watch it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hope you like it. Yeah, I guess I can talk through it too because
we're good.
Yet.
We're good on this.
Yeah, so the animation. So this is an animation. I've always dreamed to see my comic made into an animation. So we decided to try and see what it would look like, and so my artist actually did this. And we are looking to possibly really get into the animation scene and create an animated series once we kind of take off. But
Dude, this looks so gorgeous.
Dude, he did an amazing job. And
like that part right here. Like I'm not trying to interrupt, but the part like right here where he just vomits.
And this isn't even the finished version. We actually have a much better, cleaner version, but we're still working on that. But the fight scene coming up is really what blows my mind. We have like the text here to kind of give an idea of what we want. We have voice actors that are going to work on this, but this is more for the future. It costs a lot of money to make, but yeah, we're excited, man. Yeah, get ready for this, man. I love this fight scene.
Dude, this is so cool.
Right here.
His mom is such a badass too.
Yeah, man. Now that's Avalon right there.
Oh, so that was before his spell that hit his face, right?
Yep. This is before.
Yeah, I'm observant.
That's a good call, dude.
Oh, he wields a big ass hammer too. I love it. I don't know what like in Dark Souls. I always love the big hammer builds. Yeah, that's cool. That is awesome. So now, after going through that Kickstarter, what would you say to anyone that's kind of like on the fence about backing it? After taking a deep dive into it, looking at it, seeing those gorgeous, exteriors, like interiors, everything in between. What would you say to them to help push them over that?
Well, not a lot of people know me, right? This is my first campaign. So you're putting a lot of trust in the campaign right off the bat, as it's a new one. But I make that promise to the community, and I've always kept my word in life, and everyone that knows me, that like we are going to persevere on, and we are going to create a series and more out of this, and so we're going to be around for the long run. Even if you can't back now, like you said, sharing it out would not help substantially, and maybe you can come back around later. But more or less, I want this to also be a stepping stone into helping others create comics as well. So all the money brought in from this goes straight into, and I've already had this meeting with my artist, but goes straight into the continuation of the series. I'm not putting any of the profits in my pocket. I do this. I started out as a hobby because I love it and I've got a passion for it. And I hope you guys can see that. But more or less, I also have to think business wise. Comics aren't cheap. Times are hard, and I've worked a lot of extra hours to make this book happen even before it's been released. The book is fully completed, and I paid for that all out of pocket. So really, the money that comes in, you have my word, my God honest truth, that money is going straight into, I would say, the series, and not only the series, but the community as well.
I was noticing, because I have that image slideshow, and there's that cover of Kian with the roots, and it makes me just wonder if he has root elemental powers too. But we'll save that for another talk. Now,
okay,
yeah. With that being said, what's next? I know you have the last one, but are you looking at any other projects, or is it just pretty much this series for now?
So I actually did a Google Docs PDF the other day of all the series. I currently have 15 series and about four one-shots in the books, like ready to go, mapped out, budgeted and everything. How quickly we get to that only depends on my success when it comes to comics. I can only go as fast as, comics allows me. But yeah, I am actually working currently on another book called Wingless. And it's been a blast. It's actually a book about birds. So think of the comic book world, but with it's literally about birds that of course they're animated, they talk and speak and live their lives, but it's got a superhero element to it as well. And we already have 4 pages of that done, and all the concept art for the characters as well. So I am like putting money towards that in the background as much as I can, but my main focus is The Last Wand. As for where we're going next, issue 2, like I said, we're already working on that. I had a whole Discord meeting with my artist the other day. We went through the whole book page by page, so that we were both on the same page, no pun intended, on getting that book created. So we're already taking the next steps into the continuation of the series and more.
Dude, awesome. That is so cool. And I love just the dedication, the pushing through it, working through it, getting it out there. This book looks amazing. I can't wait to see the ending result of it as well. How many issues do you have planned out for this last one run? Or the last one? I know you said you have other stories that are going to kind of be like, like a spin-off, but like for the main part of it.
Yeah, so the Centerline story, we're looking at probably around 12 issues. But then each character will have their own issues. You'll see as issue 1 is more of a pilot. It does have some action and whatnot. It has some mystery drama, but it's the centerline story, and then we break off of that. So like issue 2, just to give clarification on that, issue 2 is going to follow the life of Abaddon. So it's actually going to break off of the pilot. We're going to introduce Abaddon in issue 1, but you're going to get to see him in a light that won't make much sense when you read issue 1, but it won't matter because or issue 2, it won't matter because it's his own story from beginning to the point in the actual centerline story, which is the pilot in this issue. So
no, that's awesome, man.
Kind of took a Marvel approach where we took a lot of these characters, the centerline story, kind of how they do it, and we just want to tell each one of their stories individually, and each one of their stories is just as chaotic as the next, and how they come to, I would say, how they all come back to that centerline story.
No, absolutely, man. This is awesome, dude. I appreciate you coming on here, breaking it down with us. Before we wrap things up completely, though, I always love doing and asking one question in particular, because as much as this is a podcast where we focus on you and promoting your book, it's a nice platform for anyone new, or maybe even just existing and just struggling to get started again. So for anyone out there who's watching and maybe they're having just a hard time getting started with the process of even just scripting or writing, what type of advice would you offer them to kind of help them push through that?
Yeah, for sure, man. So just to start it off, going back to just the hard times and whatnot. So really, if you're a new creator, I'm not going to say it's easy to make a comic, because it really isn't, but it is 100% obtainable. Through dedication, time, you are able to create comics, man. And if you have a love and passion for writing, if you can visually see things like scene by scene or in a certain pacing, comics could 100% be for you. And so, I didn't make a lot of money, but I dedicated a little bit of extra overtime and hours and whatnot to put into it. And really, I would say, if you're going to create a comic and you don't have like money right off the bat, do your best to save up like a scene by scene, and see if you can find an artist that will actually do the book scene by scene. Hey, I've got 5 pages, and let's just theoretically say you have $100 a page. I have $500 saved. Can we do these 5 pages? And you do those 5 pages. And let me tell you something. If you don't start, you're never going to have a book. So you've got to start, man. And by starting, that would be my advice for new creators. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have the money, or I can't do this and that, you can do it. Like, I truly believe that if you have a will, there's a way. And really, that's pretty much it, man. Like, it's not an easy medium, I thought it was, and I was naive, man. I thought getting into it, it was gonna be, oh man, I write, right? I give it to my artist, and boom, hey, we got a book in like 3 months. It's not that easy. It's a lot of time, a lot of work, and I'm gonna say this, a lot of love. If you don't have a passion for this and you're looking to make money, don't get me wrong. You can make money in comics 100%, but your love and your passion for comics is going to get you through the hard times. Building a community. I'll say this has given me a way to open up to people in a way I never felt like I could before. I'm a very reserved person, believe it or not. Probably couldn't tell from the stream, but I'm a recluse. But to have that connection with people and just see the joy and happiness on their face, that is what matters to me. And I think that if that's what you want, then comic books are 100% for you, and you can do it, man.
No, that is awesome, John. I appreciate that. That was some awesome advice. Everyone watching, once again, here is the link to check out the Kickstarter. If you can't back it, be sure to share it. It's New Comic Book Day. Help get the word out there. You're gonna have someone who is gonna love this book without a doubt. John, thank you for coming by, hanging out with us, breaking down the last one. Everyone watching, hope you have an awesome Wednesday, but most importantly, keep it geekly.